Okay, so hello, Nicole. You are the only person you're probably feeling that you might wish there are more people in here. I would agree, but we're going to press forward with the presentation. And if you have any questions, I am very much at your disposal to answer any of those questions. Feel free to put them into chat. You don't have to say them out loud. If you put them in the chat, you can address them to everyone if more students or attendees log in, or you could just address it straight to me, and then I will answer those questions. So my name is Eric Anderson. I'm the Bursar and Director of Student Accounts, also the Director of Parking Services for Stony Brook University. My department is Student Financial Services. So I'm going to share my screen for most of this, and we're going to start off with a PowerPoint presentation. So you should be seeing student financial literacy from Student Financial Services. So I like to start off with what does financial literacy mean to you? Because it can be different for everyone. It can mean you don't know what it is or you have an idea. Basically, it's the possession of a set of skills and knowledge that allows you as an individual to make informed and effective decisions with your financial resources. That's kind of a little jargony, but it's basically knowing what to do with your money and what not to do. In the sense of financial literacy for a college student, it's understanding your invoice, how you're paying that invoice or not paying, and the effects of not paying the invoice, and then possessing the ability to explain your invoice, payment choices, and the impact to your family, your friends, people who might be invested in your financial and educational career. So the value of Stony Brook is something very important to me as a bursar, but also to you as a student of Stony Brook University. It's important that I know, that you know, what kind of value you're getting for your education. And the answer is an excellent value. So compared to other public research universities in the Northeast, Stony Brook is the best value that you can get. And these are some really world-class institutions that we stack up against, and simply we are the best value in the Northeast for public research universities. Going down to public research universities in the Northeast for the tuition and fees, we're the second lowest. So again, excellent value. And if you move down here to the AAUs, and if you're not sure what that is, it's the Association of American Universities, a very, very exclusive club of research institutions, which Stony Brook University is a member of. And compared to all of our other AAU friends, we are the seventh lowest for the public AAU, which is a huge achievement for Stony Brook and for SUNY. So we really do keep our costs low, though sometimes from the student point of view, I can understand it might not seem that way. So let's move on to tuition and fees, room and board for students here at Stony Brook University. Tuition and fees, $5,069.90 per semester. That's what it currently costs to go to school here for an in-state undergraduate. That doesn't include room and board. The room and board charge is $7,442. That's for a double style room and a base on-campus meal plan for a total of $12,511.90 a semester. So out-of-state undergraduate, clearly a little bit more expensive. The tuition and fees go up, but it really is an excellent value. But the challenge that we have with financial literacy is that 47% of college students feel unprepared to manage their money. There's a lot of reasons for this. High schools might not be educating their college-bound students or any of their students about financial literacy. Often, I find that there's a gap between the family and parents to the students about how to manage money. So that's why we're here, and that's where we come in to try and provide some education. So, college student retention and financial concerns. The number one reason for students leaving college is debt and financial stress, followed by poor academic fit and poor academic performance and poor social fit. Now, the thing that stands out the most to me about this quote is that I think it's likely that if a student has financial stress, they might also have a poor academic performance. They're clearly distracted and they might not be able to focus on their academics. And if they're not focusing on their academics, they might become isolated or just a little sad. That might lead to poor social fit. So financial stress really impacts every aspect of a student's college career. So what my office tries to do is explain your finances, how to manage them as best that we can for our role, so that you can focus on being a student and less on how to pay for your education. So we have a new student coming in. I'm going to pause for a moment while that student connects to audio. Almost. Getting into the nitty-gritty of the presentation here. So let's see. Okay. Welcome to our new attendee. I'll stay on the previous slide and just repeat that for a moment. So we're going over financial literacy for students, for those of you who just joined us. And according to a number of experts on student financial literacy, the #1 reasons for students leaving college is debt and financial stress, which can impact other areas of a student's overall health and well-being, academic and social performance. So getting into student financial literacy climate, there have been many, many studies on financial literacy and the impact on students over the past 10 to 15, maybe 20 years. Student financial literacy is a very new field and it's gaining steam in a lot of campuses, but Everfi is an educational platform that does a lot of surveying because they have a lot of access to student data, and Money Matters on campus as well. So they found some interesting statistics, which can be a little concerning as well. So 73% of students report that they already have or plan to take out college loans before they leave college. That's fine. If you have a plan or you know what you're doing, that's actually a good number. However, 24% report likely to consolidate their loans. And then they also express an awareness of other issues, such as the interest rate and taking out what they need. So only 24% of survey respondents have any awareness of interest rates or how much money they actually need to pay for their college education. So 73% of students are planning on taking out loans or already have, but only 24% actually know what they're doing. 68% estimate their final school loan will total between $10,000 and $40,000. That's a big range. So the question that I have is, what is a good rule of thumb for what a reasonable amount of student debt should be at graduation? So for many, many participants here today, if you have an idea of what that could be, feel free to put it in chat. Otherwise, I'll answer it later on. But there is a common rule of thumb for how much debt you should graduate with. Some more numbers here. 28% of students reported that they plan to buy something even though they can't afford it. That's a high percentage. It usually leads to credit card debt. 32% of students report frequently making only the minimum payments on their credit card. 11% of students reported at least a moderate likelihood of going to a payday lender. 13% of students reported writing a check even though they knew they didn't have enough money to cover it. And 19% of students reported at least a moderate likelihood of using a credit card for a cash loan. If you have never had to go to a payday lender or don't know what one is, or you've never had to use a credit card to get a cash loan, consider yourself lucky. These are potentially predatory practices by payday lenders and credit card providers because you will end up paying quite a lot of money in interest just to get cash in a short-term way. I would say if you are a student or know someone who's looking to go to a payday lender or getting cash from a credit card, you should seriously consider contacting the financial aid office, my office, the student support team. There might be other options for you that aren't quite so difficult to climb out of. So something that I want to stress, and if you've gone through orientation and you've seen me at orientation or any of my colleagues, what we stress to you is that this is your student account. And we want to help you focus on your degree and worry less about the cost. So the first and foremost, what you need to do is talk about student financials with your family. That could be anyone that you are close to, that you trust and you value their opinion. And if you have someone who's helping you pay for your education or someone you seek advice from about finances and your education, you can make them a delegated user. That's very simple. You go onto your Solder account on the top right-hand side, you click on Share My Information, and it's just a 1, 2, 3, 4-step process. And then they get a copy of your student bill. They can also log in and make payments for you if they are paying for you, but most importantly, they get a copy of your bill so they can understand it with you. As a college student who's trying to navigate student financials and then upcoming fully adult financials when you graduate with your degree, it's important that you have someone who you can turn to for advice and assistance. So paying for college. Again, sit down and talk about money with a family member, a mentor, or a friend. Like I said earlier, not everyone talks about money with high school students or college students or each other, but it's important to talk about it because it's a very, very complicated thing. And don't be shy about it. We have many parents, families, friends, adults who contact my office and are completely lost on what an invoice is, how to pay for it, how to fill out a FAFSA. It's very common to be confused. If you have not already filled out a FAFSA, you should do that. Check your to-do list on your Solar page. Even if you don't think you need financial aid, it's worth it to fill out the FAFSA because you might qualify for grants, which is free money that you don't have to pay back. If you get these grants, again, it goes right onto your student account and it reduces the out-of-pocket expenses that you have. You should create a plan for each semester. Costs can often do and will increase from one year to the next. So you should have a plan for an increasing cost of college. Look for scholarship opportunities. And also, if you're planning on working, will your schedule permit a part-time job? And where will that part-time job be? Okay, so where should you look for answers? Social media? I would say no. Many times we have students contact different various offices on campus and they will say, my roommate or my friend or someone I know has this situation. Why don't I have that situation? Why did I get charged this amount? Why didn't I get a refund of $3,000 when my roommate did? Everyone's personal situation is different from someone else. So no matter what you hear for someone else's experience, yours is very different. The details behind it change. So in order to get answers, you should call or contact, email, or live chat the offices that have those answers. If you have a question about your bill or your refund, your charges, where your money is, you should contact my office. We have staff available. If you want to know about financial aid, call financial aid. Again, every student's situation is different. Also, we have a Money Smarts Seawolves program on this campus, an entire program about financial literacy dedicated to students. Okay, there are programs available. Back when we had people on campus and we had programs, we had them available for students several times a semester. We will have those again in the future. So remember to ask the offices for question. You have the right to understand the answers given. That's also very important. My office and everybody else's, if you get an answer and you don't understand, or it's not satisfactory, the explanation is not satisfactory, make sure you get an answer. You might not like it, and that's not guaranteed, but it is guaranteed that you should understand it. Okay, so steps to continue your success. Again, talk about paying for college with your family and have a solid plan. Ask questions early and often. One of the biggest mistakes that everyone makes about financials, whether it's in college or in your professional career, asking the questions too late. Don't be shy, early and often. Be your own advocate. Check your email and Solar messages on a regular basis, daily if you can, and then create a delegated user so someone is in this with you. So we're going to get into some statistics and some hopefully fun or interesting exercises here, but it's important to note that debt impacts almost everyone. So US consumer debt balances by credit products in trillions. We have mortgage and then student loan, auto, credit card. So student loan debt is at 1.4 trillion and growing every single second. That's not necessarily a bad thing. So the point of this presentation is not to say, you need to have someone watching your back for this and don't have debt and borrow as little as possible. That's not the message. Student loan debt is not necessarily a bad thing, but you should be informed about what you're borrowing and what you're doing with that debt. So how can you be informed? Resources. They're literally at your fingertips. You don't have to try and crack a code to get information about student loan. So edutopia.org. There's how-to guides, self-training lessons. It's a free resource. InCharge.org. They have teacher-focused modules on budgeting, living on your own, credit cards, cars and loans, things like that. It's focused for teachers, but it's a very easy read, and you could teach yourself by using those resources. But number one, your family. Everyone who has come before you has likely made the same choices and or mistakes that you might be faced with at some point in the future. So feel free to ask questions. All right. So what does it cost to be an adult? That's what I hear from a lot of people. How to adult 101. So there's a lot, costs a lot. Once you're out of school, everything that is included in your tuition and fees, your room and board, you will have to pay for all of that at some point. And it's very easy. I was an undergrad to go through your daily life as an undergrad or a graduate student and not realize the individual costs of the things that you are consuming. And I mean consuming by water, electricity, food, transportation, all those things. There are costs to each of those, and we're going to go through a few of them. So how to estimate your future costs. I'm going to share a different screen and we're going to go through a few of these, but there's a student loan calculator at your fingertips. There's many of these, but studentaid.gov. We're going to go through this because it's pretty neat. There's loan calculators. Every bank will give you a loan calculator because they want you to calculate a loan so they know what your personal data might be, and then they can solicit loans from you. Cost of housing, Zillow, apartments.com, all of this information is readily available to you, but do you have a security deposit? And if you don't know what one is, feel free to put it in the chat. Costs of working, commuting, clothes, etc. There are costs to actually going to work. Do you have to pay to park just to get to the place you work? Are there lunches or happy hour trips that you'll need to find money for if you want to socialize with your coworkers? Then there's insurance, renters, car, life, all different types. So let's go over to, here we go. All right, should be seeing a Zillow site here. Hang on. And here we go. So here's Edutopia. Great little resource. What is financial literacy? The value of financial literacy, all very simple little tools. And this is in charge. So the art of budgeting, teacher's guide, student guide, slide presentation, PowerPoint. I mean, this isn't the most fun information to review, but it is valuable. Okay, so let's start the loan simulator. This is, again, federal student aid. This is by the US government. If you have a Stafford loan, you have a federal government loan. So let's go through this. I want to find the best repayment strategy. You also have, I'm struggling with my payments and I want to simulate borrowing more money. All useful tools. So we can start from scratch. I'm not going to log in because we're starting over here. So let's just say I have a job or plan to get one soon. Pretending I am a senior about to graduate, I'm going to click continue. What state do you live in? So we will look up New York. Continue. Enter the salary amount you expect to complete your program. Let's do the amount I used earlier. Let's say 55,000 because I know a recent undergrad who got that. And how much do you expect your income to grow each year? I think 5% might be a little high. We're going to put it at 2% and see what happens and click continue. Okay, estimate your loan balance. Use loan data for a specific school or use national loan data. So this is a really neat feature. Specific school, state, New York. Where are you? New York. School name, Stony Brook University. And let's say I have a bachelor's degree in engineering. We're going to do, let's see, general engineering. Okay, estimate my loans. There you go. So the average loan balance for a Stony Brook University grad in New York with a bachelor's degree in general engineering is $24,986. I don't know how accurate this is, but I would wager that it's fairly accurate for educational purposes here. Average interest rate, 3.9%. Yours might be higher, might be lower. It really depends on where you get your money from. If it's a private loan or a government loan, I think the average interest rate might be a little low. It should be higher. I would, as a upcoming graduate student, assume it would be higher. So click continue, and this can be changed if you want. Click continue. Are you interested in public service loan forgiveness? This is a huge question here. And if you are getting a degree in education, this definitely pertains to you. What this is that if you graduate and work for a nonprofit for, I believe, 10 years, you will be eligible for a student loan forgiveness program. So if you borrow $20,000 and you work for a government or nonprofit institution for 10 years, let's just say you pay off 12,000 of that 20 in 10 years. The remaining $8,000 can be forgiven. The government will wipe it free. You won't have to pay it. Now, there's a bit of controversy surrounding this program in recent history. It's an easy Google, you can find it, but the program is being cleaned up. But we're going to say no. We say no, we continue. Okay. Primary repayment goal, have a low monthly payment, pay off as fast as can, or pay off by a certain date. I'm going to say a low monthly payment. Assuming I'm graduating, I need my money. I need all my money to pay for all the things I want to get. Okay, so based on your selections, overall repayment strategy is the lowest monthly payment 142 to 422 a month. That is a huge range. You know why it's a huge range? Because it's a graduated payment plan, graduated repayment. This is a very important thing for recent grads or new grads to understand. It means you're going to pay a low amount right when you graduate, and then that amount is going to go up. So that's why the last payment is $422. So right before March in 2031, you'll be paying $422 a month, which could have a serious impact on your financials, for good or for bad. If you graduate and you think that 141 looks really good because I don't have any money, I'm a recent graduate, then this might be for you, or it might not be. So you can view and compare all plans. Standard repayment, monthly payment of $252. It won't change. $252 for the entirety of your loan. Then you have graduated, which we know we went over. Revised, pay as you earn. Okay, $299 to $338. Again, it's higher than the $252, but its range is less. And it pays off November 2028, not 2031. And then income contingent repayment. Based on your income, family size, monthly payments are generally limited to 20% of your discretionary income. So all of these options exist. It's important for you as an upcoming grad to understand. So auto loan calculator, again, calculator.net. It shows this one, so I wasn't identifying a certain bank, so it didn't look like I was showing any one bank is more favorable than another. Okay, so if you have an auto loan of $25,000, 60 months, interest rate of 4.5%, down payment, let's just assume you only have $1,000 to put down when you graduate. Trade-in value is 0. Your state is New York. Sales tax 7% maybe. Title, registration, other fees, you could assume that could be larger. Calculate. And then your auto loan payment is going to be, where are you? Oh, there we go. $447.43 a month. These loan calculators are everywhere, but it's important for you as consumers when you graduate to recognize what these costs are. So I'm going to look in the chat real quick because I'm hoping someone can tell me a town they want to live in. One of our 3 guests, where do you want to live when you graduate? One of my favorite exercises. Any town, or I will choose. Okay, let's say I want to live in, okay, so nobody knows where they want to live, fair enough. Let's just say I want to live in, let's go Red Hook. Zoom into Red Hook here. Okay. And I'm going to do Red Hook, New York. Ooh, we could do rentals for rent. Not so good. I ran exit 49, Farmingdale, Melville. Perfect. Okay. Farmingdale, New York. Because I think Red Hook is out of our price range, I would say. All right. Okay. 2.8 thousand for rent. Okay. We only want for rent, right? 5 units here. We're going to go over to this one. $3,095 a month. This is a nice new apartment complex. And then we're going to go to Melville. Should have more options in Melville. Not a lot. Okay, let's see. Ooh, 12 units. Here we go. 2,700 a month. This is not out of the ordinary for those who rent on Long Island. So let's do 1 bed. 2,700. Babylon. Okay, 2 bed, 3 bed. So why am I on Zillow? And I will look up Babylon. Why am I on Zillow? Because when you graduate, you have a very important question that you might get to ask yourself. It might not be an option for you, but the question is, am I going to live at home with my family? Some people don't have that option. But if you do, the question is, am I going to live at home? Can I afford to move out or not? What are my options? Now, as a recent grad, you're going to need to pay for a great number of things, depending on where your job is. You're taking public transportation. Are you driving a car? Do you need car insurance? Are you getting an apartment? Do you need renter's insurance? Do you have roommates? Who's going to share that apartment with you? What share do they pay? Are utilities included? Do I have enough money for a security deposit? First and last month's rent? All sorts of things that you really need to consider. So your dorm that you're living in now, or a residence hall, there are certain amenities that are provided as part of that cost for living on campus that you then have to pay for out of pocket every single month instead of as part of your tuition and fee and room and board invoice. So let's look up Babylon. Babylon. Just do regular Babylon, not a west or a north. Okay. 2,500, 6 units, 1960 a month. First one under 2,000. This is fantastic. Okay, so these are the units. Not too bad. How do I zoom out? There we go. So for a 1-bedroom, 1-bath, 1960. 1 bedroom means you are not splitting rent with anyone. It is all you. So will your salary pay for this along with everything else? Assuming you probably have to have a car for this. So you can also go on Craigslist, you can go on apartments.com, you can go on all different websites to try and scope out how much it's going to cost you. But you should be planning for this before you graduate so you have a plan. Now, does anyone have an answer to the question I asked earlier, which is, what is a good rule of thumb for how much debt you should graduate with from your undergraduate? So I'll tell you, the rule of thumb is that your total student loan debt should not exceed your first year's salary. And that's why it's important to know what career you're going into and how much you expect to make when you graduate. And that is relative to city, to region in the US. So if you're going to be an elementary school teacher, and I pick on teachers a lot because there's a lot of public data about how much they make. If you're going to be an elementary school teacher in Oklahoma, your student loan debt should most definitely not be above $30,000. So if you got that education degree at a private school and you took a lot of loans, you should not be a teacher in Oklahoma. If you're going to be in engineering, if you're an engineering student and the average starting salary for someone with general engineering is $55,000 to $65,000, if you took $90,000 in loans, that might be a bit of a challenge for you. The payment is going to be high. Can you pay it? Probably, but will you have to sacrifice things like your car or your apartment or other amenities? You're probably going to have to do that. So all important choices, and this is financial literacy. That's all it is. Understanding how much money is coming in and how much money is going out and how to estimate your choices. So a good tool for estimating everything is to have a budget. So these are 2 images from an event that we've hosted on this campus before. It's called the Making Sense of Life After College event, or the Game of Life. It's had multiple names. Other colleges do this, and it's basically people walk around the ballroom and they stop at different tables, and based on their program of study, they're given a starting salary. Then we take taxes away from them. We take money away for rent. We take money away for all sorts of things. So your career choice is up here, desired career starting salary, and your monthly income. Monthly income, average starting salary for your program of study, your degree, and based on city, is readily available data based on the US Census information or lots of different websites, Indeed.com, Monster.com. They collect data like this so they can project and be valuable to you as consumers. Are you going to graduate school? If you do, what's your new salary going to be after you graduate with that graduate degree? Student loans. Undergrad, grad school, student loan total. It's very important to differentiate between Stafford loans and private loans from a private bank because the interest rates can vary. So the amount of your student loan can be different. It can be made up of more than one type of loan, which is going to impact your student loan payment in the end. So if you got a Stafford loan at 6.5% interest and a loan from a bank at 9% interest, you can't assume the calculator is going to know that. You have to calculate for 2 different loans, and you'll be making 2 separate payments. So income taxes, what state are you living in? The state that you live in drastically impacts the income taxes on your paycheck. So there are some states that don't charge income taxes, others that are very, very low. Insurance, if you're going to rent, I highly advise you getting renter's insurance because it's very, very cheap, and also it protects you and your possessions that you worked very hard to buy as a recent grad. Then you have parking and tolls. Public transportation is in here, down here. Housing utilities, electric, cable, heat, water, laundry, lawn care, garbage, home improvements. It all depends on your living situation. If you have a brand new apartment, you might not have to do much, but if you have an older apartment, you're going to want to spruce it up a little bit. Number of roommates for the rent or the mortgage. Food. So what I always advise graduating undergraduates to do is to track how much they're eating in a week. if they have a meal plan and they're eating on campus, track what you eat down to the style of food, the amount of food, how often you consume, and try and recreate that with a grocery store budget or by ordering separately from an off-campus environment. So if you want to live in Manhattan when you graduate and you really like getting pad thai 3 times a week, how much is that going to cost you if you're living in Manhattan? Then health and wellness, personal growth, professional development, medical. We put love life in there because if you want to go out on some social dates and things like that, that's going to cost you, obviously. Miscellaneous, phone, charitable contributions, leisure clothing, career clothing. If you are going to be working on the East Coast, you're probably going to be buying more formal clothing. West Coast, maybe not, but it's all something you have to budget for when you graduate. Daily products, entertainment, vacations, and then total monthly other budget. And then you have your debt, and you have your credit card payments and your other debt payments, unexpected income. Anyone will tell you something's going to happen and it'll cost you. You don't know what it is, but at any moment, something could go wrong and you will have to pay. You'll get a flat tire, you will get a parking ticket, something will break. One of my favorites was a student told me that they were at an office somewhere and they went too close to the fish tank and fell into it and accidentally broke it and had to pay for the whole replacement. Where can we find this worksheet? It'll be made available to you. I'm going to make sure that our hosts have a copy of it and that you can download it. But to be fair, budget worksheets are available anywhere. You can Google a million and find one that matches you, or you can build your own, but this one will be available. So next steps, most important thing is to ask questions. And it's really easy because people think you can't talk about money with others. It's not exactly true. You can't go up to someone and say, what do you make? That's not something people want to talk about, but they will always want to talk about their own experiences. So if you ask someone about how they managed their finances when they got out of college and got an apartment on their own, or how they managed buying their first home or their first car, anyone will want to talk to you about this because they enjoy sharing. Test out my theory. I'm sure you'll find that I'm right. Other resources. School resources at your fingertips, and I'm not just talking about Bursar Financial Aid, I'm talking about student support team, I'm talking about your ombuds office, labor relations, all sorts of different offices on this campus have expertises in things that might not be the logical first place that you go, but we're all here as ready and willing helpers to you. So if you have a question, it doesn't hurt to reach out. You might not get the answer from that person, but we can probably find you someone who knows the answer. Podcasts, one of my favorite things. I won't recommend any because, again, I don't want to seem like I'm putting a favorite out there, but there are lots of podcasts that are valuable to you to educate you. My only advice is that be very wary if the podcast is trying to sell you something because they have their own interests at heart. If they're there to educate you, it's very obvious, but if they're trying to sell something, also very obvious. Your family and professors, again, a wealth of information to you, and learn from others. There are people around you who are going through the exact same thing as you, only slightly moderately different. Ask your friends and everybody else in your graduating class what their plans are so you can learn from each other. And then weigh your options, okay? The most important decisions need to be ones that you consider carefully. So it's a wants versus needs. Everybody wants a brand new car, but do you need it? If you're just going back and forth to work and you're living in a place where you can walk around, you probably don't need a new car, or maybe not one at all. And then long-term goals versus short-term goals. I think humans in general have a hard time grappling with this because you want things immediately. We all do. But what is your long-term goal and how are you going to get yourself there? Okay, that's the conclusion of the PowerPoint. Any questions? Let me unshare. Here we go. Okay. I will make that budget sheet available. And I believe the PowerPoint is going to become available as well. So any questions from any of the attendees? Going once, going twice. Okay, I think that concludes the PowerPoint if there's no follow-up questions, though I do appreciate everyone attending today. And keep looking around Farmingdale and Melville. I will say that there is no such thing as a legal apartment, a legal basement apartment on Long Island. Having lived in one, and many of us have who have been here a while, there is no such thing as a legal basement apartment, but they're always out there. There's, again, apartments.com, craigslist.com, but be very wary and be safe and be careful. But it does cost quite a bit to live here. So weigh your options and do your research. Okay. All right. Melissa, I'm going to end it. I think since you're the host, yeah, if I end it, it's just me leaving.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop recording now.